Okay, now your next gradient effect that you are going to work on is called the radial fill. To access the gradient fill, go to Windows and scroll down and click on gradient, and then you are able to access the dialog box for the gradient fill. So once you have highlighted the box that you wanted to put colors in it, just go to the next icon on the right hand side, wherein you can see type. This is the first one that we did earlier, the linear gradient. The next one is the radial gradient. The radial gradient actually has a black and white default setting. To change that, just like what you did for the linear gradient, all you have to do is just click on the white button and go to a color that you wanted to put in that button. Let's say, for example, cyan again, and click on the other opposite side of the slider, and there you go. You have a circular effect gradient fill. The same thing with the small one. You can also do the same process. Just click on the slider. It will apply the last setting that you have put on the slider. If you wanted to take out the outline or the stroke, all you have to do is go to the stroke icon over here on the properties panel. Just click on that, and then you can scroll down. You can change the thickness of the stroke, or if you want to take out the stroke, all you have to do is just double click the box here, and you will see the different colors available here for you to use. And there is one box with a cross red mark. That means to say you don't want to put any stroke on the box, so that eliminates the stroke. If you don't want the stroke on the small box, the same process, and click on that. So now you have two boxes without any stroke, and then you have a gradient. You have a radial fill in both boxes. To change the opacity, of course, all you need to do is just go to the opacity setting on the properties panel, and then there is an option here wherein you can access the slider, bring it down if you wanted to, or you can plug in the number, the desired opacity. Let's say, for example, 70%, and that is the 70%, and that is the 70% opacity for the radial fill. If you wanted to see this effect, if you have two radial fill or two colors with an opacity applied to it, it will give you a different effect. See that? So the two colors are overlapping each other, and you can see the combination of the two boxes with a opacity setting, and the overlapping shape has a darker color. Now the next setting that you have to work on is the freeform setting, which is this one on the third icon under type. So the freeform, you can create different colors in different location of a specific shape. For example, if I wanted to put color here, and the first color is white default, I can change that to, I can pick a color that I like to put in there, and then pick another spot, yellow, and click on another location, double click it, and then let's say red, and double click here again, and let's say I wanted the green shade, and another spot here I wanted, let's say, white, and so on and so forth, depending on your desire of what kind of effect that you like to to do the same process again. If you wanted an opacity setting on this in this freeform fill, you can do so by clicking on the opacity setting here on the properties panel and just slide it back and forth, and you can see the different effect. 100% has a different effect. If you bring it down to 27, or let's say 50 or 61%, you will have a different image. Okay. Now the other thing that I asked you to work on, the assignment number 2, is to create blur. That is a very interesting tool to use to come up with some interesting images. For example, if you want to put a blur, all you have to do is go to Effects and go to Blur Effects and click on Gaussian Blur. Gaussian blur will blur the edges of your box, including the inside portion where the colors are applied. You can have a preview, or if you have a preview, you can see the effect right away. Increase the blur, so it's more of a subtle effect now. Bring it down to 6, and that is to almost like 1.9 or 0.1 pixels. So the higher the radius, the more blur it gets. Okay. The other blur that I think that I asked you to work on is a circular blur. I'm sorry, it's radial blur. That's the one that I asked you to work on. So radial blur will give you a different effect. If you increase the amount of radial blur and click OK, and you'll have some sort of a halo effect around a different shape. But by rights, this is just the same square box that you have created. How do I know that? By just going to View and click on Outline. Shortcut is Command Y. So that is just a square box. The color setting is the one that's giving you a different effect. You think it's a circular shape, but it is not. And click again on Preview. You're back again to the real color setting of your image. And that's how you play around with the different setting of blur, gradient fill to come out with different effect of the same shape. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you.